Yeah, please. Listen, really good performance. I think another very high-level technical performance from us. I think what we did, certainly the opening stage of the game, I think we had 91% of the ball. Someone just told me after 12 minutes of the match, and yeah, I thought we turned up, played with personality, played with courage, just like we did against Miami. Had two big moments early on, forced Lloris into two really good saves, and then yeah, second half was a little bit more even. We started a good process with the ball. We arrived a lot in the final third, but we probably just lacked a little bit of attacking sharpness and conviction tonight to really turn it into chances and the goals that we wanted to score. But overall, I don't think you can, from where we've been. I just showed the guys some stats in the change room. We've lost nine out of nine here, with an aggregate score of 25-2. So I think for us to be so dominant with the ball tonight, keep a clean sheet, which is important. We showed that ability and that mentality. That was a challenge I gave the guys off the back of Miami because that deserved a much better outcome. So yeah, overall a lot of pleasing aspects.
Slightly off topic, I saw after the game you talked to your old friend Sonny for
Yeah.
a long time after the final whistle. Could you just talk a little bit about your relationship with him, how it was just seeing him again?
Yeah, great to see Sonny. Been looking forward to it. Well, we have a close relationship and we speak a lot sort of via the phone. But yeah, it's a long time since I've seen him in person. So it was also nice that we managed to keep him relatively quiet. That's never an easy job. That took a lot of work on the training pitch and a lot of effort from the guys tonight. And the same with Bawanga, and then obviously they bring Martinez into the game as well. They've got an incredible amount of offensive talent. So we did a good job with that. But yeah, Sonny's as I said yesterday, an incredible player, but an even better human being. And he was very, very praiseworthy and positive about the feeling of playing against us and how we've transformed the team. So it was great to catch up with him.
All right, next we'll go to Matt Pollard with Burgundy Wave.
Hey Matt, thanks for the time.
Hey, Matt.
Talk to me about what changed in the second half, or maybe what were you seeing from LAFC to where maybe they had a little bit more of the field tilt. What would you like to see the team do a little bit better to kind of replicate some of the metrics in the first half? Thank you.
We got stuck a little bit in the second. It wasn't too much anything that they changed. Obviously, they brought a little bit of energy with the double substitution. And obviously two top quality players, but it was a little bit our process. We got stuck in our half a little bit. We repeated back to Zach when there was opportunities to progress, and we actually still arrived probably the same amount in their attacking half, and we just lost all desire to sort of get to the byline, and that was the message I was trying to get onto the pitch. So we had to work the outsides a little bit more, and then the passes down the line, and that was a little bit the thinking of bringing in Paxton and Georgie. Not so much that Yappy and Dante weren't doing it, but when you bring subs in, you can communicate with them a lot easier. So I felt it was a real important message to try and get on, that we had to try and get down the sides of them because they were jumping up a little bit more from their mid-block. So anytime we went back to Rob and Lucas, they were trying to jump up, and again we had big success with it, but there was too many times we got forced to go all the way back to Z. So that was that, but we arrived with some really strong positions. I just felt we lacked a little bit of attacking impetus and conviction in the final third, but that can happen. Obviously, it was a massive effort against Inter Miami only a couple of days ago, so you generally see an occasional drop-off with those things. But the overall sort of global performance, how we turned up, how we played with the ball, how much attention we played to stopping their counter-attack by putting the ball in the right areas and having players in the correct positions. You can never switch off against them. And I thought it was a real high level of tactical discipline tonight from the guys.
Next up is Braden Nurse with Denver Post.
Hey Matt, good to see you. Thanks for the time.
Hey, Braden.
You mentioned the courage in your opening statement. You know, it felt like individual players were being braver, especially in the first half. You know, Dante doing his best Georgie impression, Josh carrying the ball into space in the attacking third, Rob Holding joined the attack a couple times. I know you wanted to see more conviction in those final actions, but was that courage, you know, in the build-up something that you've preached in the past couple days?
I'll be honest, I think that's prevalent in every one of our performances. I could show you 20 clips of Josh doing the same against Miami on Saturday. I think, like you rightly identified, I think there was probably more attacking intent from Dante, and we had a unit meeting today with all of the forwards, and you know sort of the profile of how LA are going to defend. You know, their centre backs don't tend to jump in, so I thought it was a great game for Rafa and Wayne to get turned between the lines, them to have got a really good connection. And I knew then the ball would go wide to the wingers and they'd have a lot of 1v1 opportunities. And because of the threat on the transition, first half, the plan was that we weren't going to then join with overlaps and underlaps, which is what we typically do. So we generally kept extra bodies behind the ball, but feeling that we could have real big success 4 against 4. And Dante did have a couple of really good positive actions. It was tough to get Yappy in the same situations because the right back was marking him so tightly. So it was more of the inside space. So we tried to target that in the second half. And went a bit more adventurous with Kosi, Jackson, and then later on in the game, Miguel, just to give us the over. I just felt as the game progressed, I could see that it was just one of those days where we didn't quite have the 1v1 advantage on the sides. So they really needed a support player to overlap or underlap to create any opportunities. And it was a little bit similar when Georgie came into the game. I felt that was probably, I just said to him in the dressing room, you've got to be ready to come in with your identity. When I'm bringing you onto the pitch, I want you to go 1v1 every single time. And he started like a house on fire, and then a couple of big moments to go 1v1 and look for the pass too early, which is not the type of player that he is. So that's all the learning curve. He'll get used to us as a staff, us as a team, and what we want. But I think what we can't undervalue tonight, and what I just said to the guys, is the ability to come here and keep a clean sheet is very, very impressive. And you know they're a tough team to create chance against. I think earlier in the season, what did they have? 6 or 7 games back-to-back clean sheets, which is pretty formidable. So overall, nothing but positives tonight in terms of how we played. There's 2 massive opponents we've played, into Miami and now LA, and whatever we had, 60% of the ball against Miami, 70% of the ball tonight. I think we're showing that we're definitely a different team to what we've been in the past, and now it's about layering on that final third conviction so that we stay. I don't want us to lose our place as top goal scorers in the MLS, which I know we have now done. So we need to get back on that and make sure that we marry the control, the possession, the dominance with being devastating in the final third, which will be the areas of improvement I try and show the guys ahead of Vancouver.
Next up is Spencer Baldwin with Burgundy Wave.
Hey Matt, thank you for the time.
Hey Spencer.
You've talked about the possession. You end with over 70% possession in a stadium where it's difficult to get the ball and to do well with the ball. You don't get the goal. You don't have a second half shot on target. How does the team use the possession to create better and find that goal in a game that needs it? Thank you.
How many shots did LA have?
They had 1 on target, 5 in the game.
Okay. I think there's more to possession than creating chances. So, I think we have to analyse the game for what it is. The possession is not passive possession. Let's count how many times we arrived in their box, arrived in the final third, arrived in positions. You're also dealing with human beings and individuals that are working hard at their game to improve, and the attackers, we have a great group of attackers here who typically have been very decisive, but it's all part of the journey that they have to just play with more conviction. Today was certainly not a case of we struggled to get the ball between the lines. I lost count of how many times Rafa and Wayne were driving at their back 4 wide open. So it's just a case of converting that into meaningful opportunities. If we're playing possession in our own penalty box and in our own half, and we can't get out of our half, and then after 10 passes we turn it over and Sonny, Bawanga and Martinez are causing trouble, that's a different story. But that was not the reality of tonight. And it's definitely not easy. Let's go and look at all the numbers LA ever produce. It's very, very difficult to stop that team transitioning, to stop them creating chances. You make one wrong pass, you're in the wrong position by 2 meters as a fullback or a centre back, and before you know it, you've lost that ball. Sonny, Bawanga, Martinez, they're down the side of you and they're 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, which they've shown many, many times. So it was a very high level tactical and technical performance, and I've got no complaints about the amount of times we arrived in the final third. It's just a case of being one of those nights where they have a very good defence and our attackers on the night couldn't quite find the advantage. So I'm sure there'll be some movements and ideas we can give the guys before Vancouver, but let's turn up certainly with the same personality, same courage, same mentality. And let's be the Colorado Rapids that Heung-min Son just told me is the best team he's faced this season. So let's turn up with that identity.
And we'll go back to Matt.
On that note, Coach, about the defensive performance, obviously a lot for Lucas and Rob to handle. For the most part, they handle it. But there's a few moments where Rob got into the attack and was almost going on an adventure, like he was dribbling with the ball as if he was Paxton. Was there some communication maybe in the situation from the bench about that, or was there a tactical wrinkle that maybe you thought Rob could help overload the midfield, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, it is one of our movements that we work on a lot in training of just how we progress the game. And once Rob drives in, that triggers a different positions that the guys ahead of the ball then move and rotate into, and it's just about moving bodies higher up the pitch to get behind their midfield line. And I thought Rob did it very well. I was a bit critical of the guys at half time that as Rob was doing it, and even Lucas. Lucas passed a little bit too early first half, so he wasn't giving Jackson time to get up the pitch. But when those guys do that, the movement wasn't great between the fullback, the winger, and our number 10 to find the spaces. Like LAFC, they're a very compact team. They block the spaces really well. You can have the overload, but it's difficult to find them. So I was critical at half time of the positions we were taking up. Showed the guys a couple of clips from the first half. So second half was a lot more about trying to get Rob driving with the ball, Kosi up to right wing, and let's try and then get Dante inside the pitch. And credit to LA, every time Rob drove, they're very good at blocking the passing lanes, and we couldn't quite find the progression. We had a couple of nice moments where we managed to at least get Kosi to the byline, but generally from there the cross was over hit or under hit, and it was the story of the day. The last pass, literally the last 18 yards of the game was the only element of our match tonight that was not at an extremely high level. But no, you're right to identify that. I thought that was Rob's best performance of the season, defensively, offensively. So it's great that he's gone to another level. But there was a lot of good performances out there.
We have time for just a couple more here. We'll go to Braden.
Yeah, just curious if there's an update on Jackson. Obviously, he looked like he was able to walk off, but yeah, it looked like he was in some pain there. Yeah,
nothing yet. Touch wood. Nothing too serious because he's been excellent this season, and he's a player that I love in terms of his mentality, his mindset, just who he is as a person. He's the exact type of guy that any fan should want at their football club because he gives everything on the pitch. He has a great ambition about him. He has a real willingness to learn and take criticism, which is something I always look for. I think that's a really good quality. So it'd be a big blow if he is out for any period of time. The good news is obviously Miguel is back fit. Obviously missed the game at the weekend, but good for Miggy to get some minutes today. And I just spoke to him after the game, and he had absolutely no issues with his hamstring. So we'll see. We've got two good choices, hopefully, to start a left back against Vancouver. But of course, if Jackson is ruled out, then Miguel's a nailed-on starter for that one.